Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ready23 and our next panel discussion. I'm thrilled to be participating and leading this panel discussion. We are going to be covering scaling school safety solutions with Alyssa's Law, and I couldn't be more happy than to really be moderating this panel discussion. That's because I have a wife that is an elementary school teacher, and I have a daughter that is a middle schooler, and I have a son that's a high schooler. So school safety is paramount on my mind as I drop them off at school. It's something that working this space is just incredibly important to the United States as a whole, but each one of these communities that we serve. And so thrilled to have with me today Shane Smith and Derek Rowe. We'll get into their introductions in a moment. But before we do, just in case you're joining for your first Ready23 panel discussion, I wanted to share that RapidSOS is Ready23 is hosted by RapidSOS. We're an intelligent safety platform that securely links life-saving data to monitoring centers, to 911, first responders during emergencies. And during this event, it's an opportunity to connect, collaborate, and just change the world in which public safety and emergency response. It's a brain trust that we have across the community, from those that are participating in these panel discussions to those that are attending. And we are grateful that you're here and listening in. Please share your comments and ideas in the chat function. There's a lot of great discussion that's going on in those, and so I definitely encourage you to do that. Enjoy this event. It's a lot of fun, and I'm thrilled to get us started here on this discussion. So why don't we dive in? So with me today, I have Derek Rowe. He's a senior solutions manager at Centegix, and Shane Smith. She is the E911 coordinator at Highlands County Sheriff's Office in Florida. And so if may have you provide your own introductions, give a little background on who you are and what role you have in emergency response. And Derek, I'll start with you.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Great to be here. So yeah, I'm Derek Rowe. I'm a senior solutions manager at Centegix. I've been with Centegix since its creation. Prior to that, I was a CIO at a large K-12 school district down here in Alabama. I mentioned that because that was extremely valuable to my initial role at Centegix and our creation of Crisis Alert, our solution, in that kind of had seen the reality of the school world in terms of not everything works as well on paper as it looks on paper, works as well. And so had seen where there were holes and needs and gaps. And so I kind of served as the voice of the customer as we created Crisis Alert. And then now what I'm able to do as a senior solution manager is I work with everyone from sales through implementation and in deployment throughout the entire cycle, just working to kind of continue improving and in refining our solution. Just like, again, being able to, have the opportunity to work with Shane as we were, rolling out our integration with RapidSOS and making sure that it was working well for what they use it for.
Great. Thank you, Derek. And Shane?
I am Shane Smith. I have been with Highlands County Sheriff's Office since December of 1994. I am now the dispatch director, as well as the county's 911 coordinator and the CJIS coordinator. Kind of worked my way up through the ranks a little bit here and there. So I'm responsible. We're a consolidated center, so we dispatch all fire, all EMS, and all law enforcement for the whole county. So that's my role here.
Fantastic. I imagine you've seen quite a bit over the years, and really looking forward to hearing how you've seen technology support the advancement of dispatch resources in your community. So as we, before I get started on some of the questions, I want to orient the audience. We really appreciate our panelists being here, really appreciate our audience being here. This discussion is really going to focus on the evolution of school safety solutions and how public safety utilizes those in emergency response. And so with that said, Derek, I'd like to ask a first question of you. And if you could share with our audience how Centegix improves safety for students and staff.
Sure. Yeah. Our focus, we're kind of laser focused on how to save time in an emergency, both how quickly someone can call for help and how quickly the proper responders can know where they are and who they are to get to them. So we're driven by a badge. We're a badge-based wearable solution. So this way, every single staff member, just from the click of a button, so keeping it simple in an emergency, which is very important, can let you know if they have an emergency wherever they are on campus, indoors, outdoors. And basically, they can either say it's the, if you will, the I need help, come to me type of emergency, where everything else business as usual, or the, if I've seen, God forbid, like a weapon on campus, a need to lock down, to let the entire campus know to lock down, and to mobilize that campus throughout through visual indicators such as strobes, through audible intercom announcements, so that everybody knows in seconds to take action.
Okay, sounds like multiple layers, multiple different capabilities within the platform for those users in the schools.
Correct. Yeah.
Great. Shane, could you describe how collaboration between public and private partners is transforming emergency response?
It's a whole different ballgame now. You have all this information coming into a center that you wouldn't have before. You've got so much technology that's starting to show up, and having it to one screen where it's all coming in like on Rapid. The dispatcher's not going to 3 or 4 different programs and have to worry about checking all these different programs and everything else. All that information's on one screen, and it's definitely a lot easier for them.
Great. Yeah, ease of use and usability is absolutely critical. If folks have a hard time with using it, they're not going to use it. And so I think it's critically important that RapidSOS, Centegix, and that integration, and for that matter, even the further down integrations, we have CAD integrations that we can provide. We have an API available to deliver the alerts, and all of those different functions are so important to have really thoughtful design to ensure that the users are going to get the most out of that information. Now, Shane, how does the availability of more data help your team dispatch resources more effectively?
It helps tremendously, especially, with some of the alerts coming in for like crash detection and stuff. If I know all the airbags have deployed in a vehicle and it was a 65-mile-an-hour crash, I know probably 2 ambulances isn't going to be enough. So we can start rolling additional resources quicker. The alerts through the alarm companies, you get all that information and all that data right away, and you're not having to call the alarm company back and get more information because you have it all right there on the screen for you.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm getting more and more intrigued by the use of technology in the field by the field responders as they're driving to the scene, as they're arriving on scene. Obviously they have to be very focused in that moment, but that information that can be presented and help them just understand the situation, the context, is just has to be incredibly valuable. So I appreciate that answer. Derek, from your perspective, can you provide insights to the specific advantages that this partnership with RapidSOS provides to your organization?
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of goes to what Shane mentioned in one of our previous answers about putting everything on one screen, and also just the type information provided. So like I mentioned, when someone activates, let's say for a lockdown, their badge, we know where they are, but we also know down to like room level specifics where they are. And our relationship with Rapid, normally without Rapid, it's like we're basically communicating to the campus and we're mobilizing them. But what Rapid brings in is the ability to now relay that same information to the dispatcher, to 911 or emergency communication center, so that they're not only seeing that a school has gone into lockdown, but they can actually see where within the school, which again, when you talk about saving time, you think about a large high school. If I'm just showing up to the front door, and oh, by the way, there's an emergency going on, so who knows what you're going to see, but to know, hey, the alerts are coming from this part of the building, and so they're en route there. And so, providing that key information is one thing, but also to what Shane mentioned, they're already looking in a pane of glass using RapidSOS. So it was really important for us. We can't do everything. You can't do everything as an expert. And so we lean on the expertise and leverage Rapid in that to where they're already looking at that pane of glass. So if we can get our information combined in with Rapid, it's showing up and it makes life a lot easier on the 911 or the PSAP or Emergency Communication Center, because they realize, hey, there's nothing new to load necessarily. There's nothing they have to do extra. It's just showing up where they're already looking, which is, again, going to make it a little bit easier to respond because you're already trained and know how to deal with that information.
Yeah, you bring up something that's really important to me as leader of our public safety partnerships team, and that's just the value of having partners in their various levels of subject matter expertise, the technology that they bring to the table. No doubt, I greatly appreciate our partnership with Geocom and their indoor map capabilities, and thinking but there's choice. There's choice out there. Shane, you know, earlier today we're talking about how, you know, being able to provide feedback to different partners and the vendors that you utilize, and, you know, what you used 5 years ago may not be the right partner for you today. And
Right.
And what I'm very proud of our company in is that we have approached in a model where we enable our ECC users to have that choice, and so being able to have that and then mix and match. So I want this indoor map company with a Centegix data set that maximizes your value. Then that's something that's important to us, because we understand that it's your operation. It's not us being, you know, dictating something on you.
Having it all together like that, honestly, if I put another program in there, they freak out because it's new.
Yeah.
This is something they already have. It's already something they use. So it's not that bad when we add something else to it, because
Yep.
they're already familiar with it. You know, I have a lot that are older dispatchers. Technology is not their friend. They want to stay status quo. So this gives them a chance. It's something they use, and, you know, it's not a big blow when you add something new to it.
That's
Yeah,
very
that goes back to that real world, you know, things that look good on paper, but yeah, there's only so much you can hand people and tell them, now learn this, now learn that. And so, yeah, just that reality of it.
great. Shane, next question for you. Thinking more from the field responder side of things, can you describe the tools and technology that your school resource officers have available to them from Centegix?
They have the Centegix apps on their phones. So anytime a teacher sets an alert off, they immediately get notified, which there's two different alerts from Centegix. There's one that just necessarily goes to the admin. So say they got a fight in the cafeteria, they only press the badge like 3 times, and that will go to the admin staff at the school, as well as that school resource officer that's assigned to that school. So he knows what teacher set it off, where that teacher is at, and, you know, where they need help. All the school resource officers that we have automatically download it to their phone. All the teachers on the campus have it. And we actually just had an incident yesterday, which I haven't got to go over it completely, but supposedly a kid jumped the fence. Another kid seen him, thought there was a gun involved, and that kid took off running. Well, I have 3 schools that are within footsteps of each other. All 3 schools went on lockdown within instantly.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yes.
So it sounds like effectively rules based, based on roles and responsibilities, and you can send certain alerts out to individuals based on their role within the overall security and safety of the building.
Right. If they press it, I think it's 6 times, Derek. I think it is.
Yeah, 8 or more. We tell them to just keep clicking, but yeah,
it comes to us in the 911 center. But if they only do it like 3 times, it just goes to the staff at the school.
Fantastic. Love that. All right. Derek, do you have any specific testimonials or feedback in regarding how this service has benefited your users?
Yeah, you know, I think it goes back to being the focus on keeping it simple and truly usable. And so a lot of times the testimonials is funny. We get as many, you know, like when we do get feedback from stories like what Shane just shared, but a lot of times it relates to what they had previously dealt with. And when you're rolling this out and they see it, in other words, hey, this is so much easier to call for help because, you know, previously when I was in the headlock, I couldn't use my radio or just literally trying to get my phone out and I didn't have signal and I couldn't even get to my phone to call for help, but the wearability of the badge. the fact that it's telling you where they are. We've had people tell us, in an emergency, I mean, we lose a lot of critical factors. I had a superintendent tell me he was had an issue, and because of the trauma, he couldn't even remember the address of where he was, even though that was his workplace, or so just automating that information, and then dovetailing with rapid notifying. You can imagine in a lockdown scenario, so many times I've heard principals say, we're dealing with an emergency. We didn't think to call 911. We're just dealing with it. And it's kind of like, wait, did you call it or do we? So there's a tremendous comfort knowing that when someone locks it down, 911 is being alerted and you're able to focus on dealing with the emergency. And especially like in the case in Highlands where Shane is, when you know that your SROs are receiving it and they're seeing the same info you are, they're seeing where it is in the school and all. So they just have this comfort level of, I'm focusing on this issue and I know help is coming where I need it without me having to pull myself aside from the emergency and try to get on the phone and tell people where to go.
Fantastic. The kind of that assurance that you describe of knowing that 911 has been informed that the responders are on the way while you're managing that situation has to be an incredible relief to the school administrators, school safety officers, and the like.
Yeah, and they feel a pressure of, I'm not most people aren't trained, like a policeman or military to be able to communicate that effectively and that kind of, so they appreciate that. Hey, even if I'm locking up or just dealing with it, the information is getting where it needs to be and accurately.
Yeah. Now, Shane, could you describe how your agency utilizes RapidSOS and the impact it has on your community?
We use RapidSOS for a lot of stuff, and we're actually getting ready to go to RapidSOS Premium.
Okay. Love that.
We use it for everything from Centegix to the Simply Safe alarms to just 911. We actually were able to determine that we had a 911 outage with Rapid because we had all these calls popping up on Rapid, but we weren't getting any phone calls. So we started calling them back to find out they were Verizon customers, and Verizon's 911 was down. So, there's lots of different benefits. The alarms, we're getting the alarms quicker by using Rapid. We're getting them just as quick as they go off. The Centegix alarm, as soon as that alert is sent off, we have it within seconds, compared to, waiting for a phone call to come in, somebody to answer it and start getting that information. You're saving several minutes sometimes, by using that technology. So it's definitely been a benefit.
Yeah, I love hearing those stories of the ding before the ring, and that being the data is coming in, the kind of pre-alerting of calls to come, and the benefit it provides to preparing your telecommunicators that there's calls coming in or about to come in, as well as that pre-alerting and the speed of the data for applications like Centegix is just fantastic. And what I'm most excited about is I've been in this space about 23 years, since 2007, specifically related to Next Gen 911. And we've been talking about these use cases that are now actually happening, and it's really exciting to see that we're solving these problems of time and information, and we're seeing the outcomes as a result. There's more work to be done, no doubt. But it's these types of partnerships that really make me, personally satisfied, especially on this space on school safety. Derek, next question for you is, how can other organizations draw inspiration from this partnership that we have? What advice or insights would you provide to other companies that are aiming to establish similar collaborations in the context of customer safety and well-being?
Yeah, I think it just goes back partly to kind of know thyself, so to speak. As I say, you can't be the best at everything, and so keep your eye on what you do best. For us, that is, enabling all the staff to call for help, and for that local help in particular to know where to go, but to identify, hey, where you have gaps, to then go find those best of breed, to build that best breed, go find the best in that group. And that's what kind of, like I said, led us to RapidSOS, where we're looking at, when you sit down to meet with someone like in Shane's position, it's nice. And I would say, well, hold on, I need you to use my solution and roll something brand new out. And as she mentioned, the SROs are using it, and people love choices. It's nice to be able to say, hey, here's what's available to you. But in the dispatch center, yeah, it's going to show up in what you're already used to looking at. And so trying to again bear in mind the end user and do things in a way that how is it really going to be the most beneficial, especially in these emergencies where again time is so important and everyone gets a little bit more harried and loses some critical functionality. So what can we do to make sure we streamline and make it as easy as possible for them to function well?
Yeah. Back to the usability perspective, right? If it's not easy to use, they're not going to use it.
Yeah, and just empathizing. Nobody likes to have something kind of pressed on them, and I'm thrilled that the SROs are using. But again, it just shows the balance. They're using both the rapid and the dispatch as well as the SROs using ours on that. So giving them those options.
Yeah, great. All right, so my next question is going to be for both of you. Derek, I'm going to start with you first, and that is, how do you envision the evolution of emergency response technology over the next decade? And along those lines, what opportunities and challenges do you foresee?
With technology changing so quickly, I mean, you look at what we just carry around with us with our phones, where that's come in the last 15 years and such. But we're always looking for ways to provide better information. Shane referenced the car accident, and again, that would be something, I don't know, Shane, when that came along, but in 1994 when you started, I feel safe to say that data wasn't there. But how do we let the person get as much information automatically, especially that they can, so that they have even more context and information about the event to save time. So I think that's, as I look at the evolution, just trying to leverage technology to do that. And again, it's nice if someone can communicate actively on it is good, but we've seen in a lot of instances, like in a school shooting situation, people can't even talk, not just because they're trying to keep quiet or maybe because they're harried. So again, trying to automate that. One of the things, so along that line, and like we say, we keep beating the drum of making it easy and keeping it in one pane of glass, if you will. One of the things that we're just about to roll out is Shane mentioned as our SRO is looking at and able to see exactly where an emergency is, who clicked their badge and where they are, but showing key safety assets on that map to the responder. We know a lot of schools already have that map of here are my assets, but guess what? When a child's having a seizure or there's an active shooter, good luck in going and pulling that map out and look, versus can I put it in the same window you're already looking at, right, so that if I'm responding, I can see there's a stop the bleed kit 2 doors away or the AEDs, et cetera. And so we're just always looking for ways to streamline the response and save that time. But I do think the balancing act we mentioned kind of challenges as technology continues to improve. It's funny, but we keep saying simplicity. So you also have to focus on trying to keep it simple, as well as kind of the privacy concerns that pop up. So again, the badge for us was a way to keep it simple, to keep it private. A lot of people, it's one thing to ask an SRO to have something on their phone. It's another to ask a regular, just a teacher or something. Hey, I need you to put this on your personal cell phone to be able to use. It may lose some of that simplicity. So it's kind of a balancing act of we're simplifying, but we're trying to provide even more information, even though we're trying to keep it simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Shane, same question for you. That is that how do you envision the evolution of emergency response technology over the next decade? What opportunities and challenges do you foresee?
There's several. For me right now, and we've kind of just talked about this before, but cybersecurity is a big one for me. My sheriff's office was hacked about a year ago, and we had no CAD, no nothing for 32 days. Everything was on paper. So one of our biggest things that we're doing right now is trying to figure out how to create some redundancy. If you lose CAD and you lose all your computer systems, how are you going to function? how are you going to work? Which is part of why we're moving to Rapid Premium. That is going to become my backup map. If I lose my computers, at least I can go to a Wi-Fi hotspot and get on my map and have my map. So there's a lot of things. Cybersecurity and redundancy right now, I think, is one of the biggest things that we need to make some improvements on, and we're trying to work on it here.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Shane. It's if it's not part of everyone's mindset and the their strategic plan, their annual plans, it needs to be. And I really appreciate hearing the use case of how you plan to utilize RapidSOS Premium. It's something that you go from agency to agency, and there's a lot of different ideas. And so long as we're helping work through those operations and improve that operation, that's what it means to us, is making sure that we can have that effect on those outcomes. We have a few more minutes left, and actually I have a question that came in that I'd love to ask of you, Shane. And that's how did you go about creating a relationship with your school board to ensure that they chose a RapidSOS ready solution?
Part of that was helped with the state. The state of Florida actually vetted several vendors and said, if you choose these vendors, the state said they help each county pay for it.
Okay.
But we've had school resource officers in our schools for probably 10 years. So there's already been a kind of a relationship there. I'm probably one of the few counties in Florida. I actually have access to the school cameras at the schools. So if we have an incident, I can log into the school cameras. My dispatchers can log into the school cameras and actually see what's going on. But we've had that relationship, and it's just a matter of me reaching out with the lieutenant that is over school resource, and we all kind of sat down at the table and talked about it.
Yeah, that's something you touched on there, is and I think is an interesting point of discussion. It can be very controversial, and that's the video, bringing video into the 911 center. And it's I think it's really has a ton of value, but it's maybe in one of the, and I'm just guessing here, but in the 1% of those calls, not the 99% of the calls that you need to access it, but when it's there and it's available, it can really inform your dispatchers on what's going on at that in that situation, so that they can dispatch resources more accurately, as well as inform them of what they're getting into as they're arriving on scene. So
but we actually have a policy in place that says they will only access the cameras during certain types of incidents.
Okay.
So they can't just go in because they feel like it. They can only access during a certain amount of time. If we have a burglar alarm at 9 o'clock at night, we go in and start scanning the cameras.
Perfect. Yeah. Seems like a perfect use case for that, that you're not invading in the privacy of the school, but rather just for that safety and security situation, as well as just safety and security of your responders, so that you have some extra eyes on the scene, so that they're informed on what may be around the corner.
Right.
Fantastic. All right. Well, that concludes my set of questions for you both. Derek and Shane, thank you so much. This was a really great discussion from my perspective. I hope our audience felt the same way. Really, the insights that were shared here are fantastic. It helps myself as I work with our partners and how we can do better together. And I hope our audience found the same value there. So, and lastly, we're really grateful that you're part of this RapidSOS Ready community. So thanks once again.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
And for those that are out in the audience, if you have any questions, wish to connect, please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is Sehnert, so it's my first initial last name at rapidsos.com. Feel free to send me an email, connect with me on LinkedIn. Enjoy the rest of this event. I hope that you're enjoying Ready23, and have a great rest of your week. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.